Kenyon Sadiq is the answer to the Carolina Panthers' offensive woes. Find out why in Keith's 2026 NFL Mock Draft.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He's the director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with the LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. As promise, guys, we're going through the second portion of Keith's latest first round mock draft of the new calendar year. Yesterday, we went through picks 1 through 10. Today, we go through picks 11 through 20, and we discuss those favorite picks, most interesting and most underrated picks of the specific picks in his mock draft. But before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. At number 11, Keith, in your mock, this is a spicy one. I just looked at this. You had the Miami Dolphins going quarterback Ty Simpson out of Alabama. At pick 12, you had the Dallas Cowboys going Cashius Howell, edge rusher from Texas A&M. At pick 13, you had the Los Angeles Rams with that pick from the Atlanta Falcons. They select Mansoor, Delane, cornerback from LSU. Pick 14, the Baltimore Ravens select interior offensive lineman from Penn State, Vega Ioane. At pick 15, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select David Bailey, edge from Texas Tech. At pick 16, the New York Jets with the trade with the Colts select Mateo Uyongalele, edge rusher from Oregon. At number 17, the Detroit Lions go Peter Woods, interior defensive lineman from Clemson. At pick 18, the Minnesota Vikings select Avion Terrell, cornerback from Clemson. Pick 19, Carolina Panthers go Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. At pick 20, the Dallas Cowboys with the trade with Green Bay for Micah Parsons select Malachi Fields, wide receiver from Notre Dame. Keith, let's talk to us. I'll save that for a second. We'll talk about favorite picks. Favorite picks for me, Keith, looking at this is it's 1 or 2 I really, really, really like. But I'm gonna go 19. Yes, the Carolina Panthers, who are in the playoffs. Shout out to the Falcons, helping them backdoor their way in there. Shout out to the Falcons. But yeah, the Carolina Panthers at pick 19. They have a playoff game against the Rams, a rematch from a regular season matchup earlier this year that the Panthers won. The Carolina Panthers getting Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. Keith, I love this. And now I've been telling Panther fans all season, you need a dynamic weapon at tight end. Like they don't have that on the roster. Tommy Tremble's not a dynamic receiving threat. Mitchell Evans, who I do like out of Notre Dame, he's not a dynamic. He's more of a run blocker, safe, reliable. It's a good tight end too. Jatavian Sanders he hadn't lived up to that. I didn't think he was a dynamic athlete, and then he's been battling injuries on and off in his career. I think he just suffered a serious leg injury.
Another tight end too.
Yeah, another. He's more of a move tight end because
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the different versions, Mitchell Evans and he, but both probably should be your second tight end.
Second tight end off the bench. I think Kenyon Sadiq, man. At the end of the day, you want to, like you think you said, the recipe for surrounding Bryce Young with more talent. Like you got to. To me, I said my concerns with their offense. There's very little room for error. Getting a guy like Kenyon Sadiq opens up some of that room for error. You get a dynamic playmaker. You get a guy that can thrive in the middle of the field. I think they should probably trade Xavier Legette. It's just not a good fit for, personnel, like quarterback, receiver, play caller. It just doesn't seem to be working. Jalen Coker's their wide receiver too. He's meh to me. He's a big guy, but I don't see top tier athleticism, field stretching ability, winning one-on-one when you need to win one-on-one. Tep is number one. Getting Kenyon Sadiq to be essentially wide receiver 2 for them or the second option for Bryce, I think that'll help this offense a lot, especially because they can run the football.
Yeah, so the running the football part is the part that nobody discusses, right? Rico Dowdle had an emergence this year, right? Just running for the Carolina Panthers. And I think this is a team that when we're talking about taking Bryce Young and progressing him throughout his career, right? To where each year he's getting a little bit better. I think it's about one, continue to put pieces around him, but then also having a balanced attack of running the football also, right? And the underrated part of Kenyon Sadiq is that he may enter the NFL and outside of Darnell Washington, maybe one of the most physically imposing blocking tight ends, right? to hit the NFL. And so you're talking about he's an addition to the run game also, in combination to being, what we believe to be kind of a freaky athlete, right? Like this guy chiseled, looks like he stays in, right? He wakes up doing and goes to sleep doing curl. And you're just talking about commanding the middle of the field, right? Because I think that's a part that's kind of missing is having a true threat at the tight end position. And you've seen you could do so many different things when you have a good movement piece or a good piece at tight end, right? You're talking about just the vertical seam shots that Bryce can throw, the drag routes, right? He's running away from linebackers, the kind of play action boot and then throw all the way back across the field, right? As they're running kind of like the wheel route and turning.
The leak,
There's so many different things you can do if you have that flexible athletic tight end. So I was looking at it and I'm like, man, should they go offense again? And I'm like, you know what? Why not? Right? Because the thing is this, that you've already invested the picks into Bryce Young, meaning that you already traded away the first round picks to draft Bryce Young. Now, if he doesn't work, you got to think about it. That's a loss on those picks, plus that's a loss on that player, right? Like it just doesn't. So you might as well continue to go all in and see if you can take him step by step to get closer to that top 10-esque range as a quarterback, because you've already invested the picks in him.
100%, Keith. Looking at the some of the other picks, you did this, Mock. So what are some of your favorite picks in this situation?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at a team that regressed a little bit this year, right? As far as making the playoffs last year, didn't make the playoffs this year. There's actually a couple in this bracket, but I'm gonna go with the Detroit Lions. Selecting Peter Woods, DP. You potentially get the best defensive tackle off the board, a guy that we walking into this year thought was a top 5, top 10 pick, right? Lock. And to get him at pick 17, I think would be really good. Now, the conversation is going to be the Detroit Lions need another edge rusher. I agree with that, right? But at this point, y'all need talent, right? Like just like you have to have an injection of talent, and no matter what position it comes in, go ahead and grab it. Especially, I say this, along the defensive line, go ahead and grab it, right? And you can put Peter Woods and place him in multiple different situations. And if he's able to provide interior pressure, that's just as good as edge pressure, right? Like if he's able to be a dominant guy on the interior and get after quarterbacks and be disruptive, then that's just as good. We know that Aiden Hutchinson needs help along that defensive front, right? Like he needs some help. So I like the Peter Woods selection because I think it's good value. Getting them at pick 17, then also it addresses a positional need.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, interior, getting pressure up the interior offensive line into the face of the quarterbacks. You want to, and the quarterbacks that you have in your division, right? Well, at least 2. We don't know how this whole JJ McCarthy Minnesota Vikings thing is going to shake out, whether he's a guy or they bring somebody else in to be the guy. We don't know. But, you got to deal with Caleb, who won the division this year in year 2. So if this is the worst that he's going to play in terms of Caleb Williams, that's a scary thought for these NFC North teams, right? And you expect him and Ben Johnson to grow even more together in year 2 and 3 of this offense. And then you know what you have to deal with in Green Bay with Jordan Love. You need to get to the quarterback by any means necessary, whether that's off the edge. You already got a guy off the edge. That's Aiden Hutchinson. But if you got a guy like Peter Woods, that last year they took Tyleik Williams, and that was 2 years ago I talked about Tyleik Williams being the first round pick. I just was a year early because he went back to school. I didn't like that move because I was like, you could have gotten a Mike Green, which I understood there was off-field stuff from in his past and things like that. You needed another guy opposite of Aiden on this defensive line. Tyleik Williams isn't a pass rusher. He's a run stuffer. He's going to stop the run, but he's a first and second down player. You need a third down player on this team, and I think Peter Woods gives you the best of both worlds, especially, as I keep saying, think back to Walter Nolan. Peter Woods played a lot of 0 and a lot of 1. In this Detroit defensive situation, he's probably going to play more 3, maybe 4-eye, where he's going to get more single gap situations, and that's probably the best for his long-term NFL projection anyway, to collapse the pocket and be a 3-down player.
Yep, with DP, you know what we do, man. We talk favorite picks at the top of the show, and then we transition and we talk what the most interesting picks. And I think you want to get to that, DP. You almost let the cat out the bag a little bit, let the rabbit out the hat. We're gonna have a conversation I think is going to be pertaining to a quarterback. And we'll talk about that coming up next.
Ever wish to become a pro QB, getting drafted first overall? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a number one draft pick quarterback, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness, to the promised land, and to help turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. Are you accurate? Do you make good decisions under pressure? Are you a quick processor of information? Or you believe you are? Well, prove it with Ultimate QB Football Legend. Ultimate QB is totally free, has no ads, and works 100% offline. Perfect for when you want to sneak in a quick game or two on the go. Just head over to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search for Ultimate QB in your app store. And we've got something special just for you guys. Use the promo code Locked On, all caps, in the game store to get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB Football Legend. QB1, it's your legacy. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in network, nearby, with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next steps. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. The real-time availability means you can book instantly, no phone tag. If I needed to book care fast, this is the first place I'd go. It just makes the process simple. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. The most interesting picks from pick 11 through 20 of Keith's latest NFL draft NFL mock draft. At pick 11, Keith, you gave the Miami Dolphins a quarterback. And the Miami Dolphin fans, I don't know how they feel about it, but it was Ty Simpson out of Alabama. We know Tua Tagovailoa he was benched, and more than likely, I think you said the GM is out. Tua got benched, and they're more than likely moving away and moving off of him. What made you go Ty Simpson here? And is this guy going to be heir apparent to start the season? And you got Quinn Ewers there. So what was the decision? What went into your decision to give them Ty Simpson?
Yeah. So first, if you let's take this step by step, right? Comparing him and Quinn Ewers, I think that Ty Simpson is more physically gifted than Quinn Ewers.
For sure.
And so that's why I give him the nod over Quinn Ewers. The walking into the Miami Dolphins situation, right? And the reason I outlined that in my paragraph as far as the GM being out, then Tua being out, because it seems like Mike McDaniel is going to be the last man standing, right? And him being the last man standing, you have to hit your wagon to whatever is going to be the reason where you can have a job the next couple of years, right? And I think what builds the momentum or gets the tide changing in your way is drafting a quarterback from the Crimson Tide, Ty Simpson. I think he has the physical tools. I think the uniqueness of Mike McDaniel's offense, I think Ty Simpson can step in and do that, right? Because there's a lot of middle of the field throws for this Mike McDaniel offense, or he would like to execute that, right? And even, you go back to Kyle Shanahan and how they use George Kittle and just the different play action in the run game and how it gets flow of the linebackers. Ty Simpson understands how to take advantage of that. We have to remember that we seen Tua Tagovailoa not play good football. We seen Tua Tagovailoa on the verge of becoming a bust before Mike McDaniel showed up into town, right? A big caveat, though, I will say this, is how does Tyreek Hill come back? What does he look like coming back into this offense? Because I think if Tyreek Hill is healthy And then you have obviously Devon Achane, who I think made the Pro Bowl this year, right? Then you have a Jalen Waddle who's explosive threat, Tyreek Hill is explosive threat. This is not a bad situation for a young quarterback. And I think, like I said, just with everybody else being out and Mike McDaniel staying, it looks like the Miami Dolphins are going to want to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, I think the way the whole situation is shaked out, like they definitely are going to be in that spot to say, you know what, we're good. Let's go get. Especially if Mike McDaniel gets a chance, because again, you've had Tua the whole time. Do you get a chance to pick your guy? You know what I mean? We don't see that. We see that happen a lot of times. A head coach comes in like, yeah, I didn't draft you. You know what I mean? But Mike McDaniel made the best out of that situation, and they had a good run. Honestly, they had a good run. You know what I mean?
And let's talk about the people that we know of them, right? Like Tua had a weird transition to where he started kind of talking a lot, right? Just saying a lot of stuff, right? And potentially and it potentially rubbed people the wrong way. Ty, from what we've seen from interviews, seems like the exact opposite kind of guy, right? Like he leads with action, but also speaks when he need to speak, but it's still an eye and team thing. Like he's not pointing fingers at people. It's, whether he throws for 400 yards and they still lose, it's like, hey, I got to play better, right? He's not telling Tyreek Hill whatever he told Tyreek Hill, whether Tua was right or wrong in saying it, right? Well, right or wrong about what he said, it was just he's not going to do it. So I think it's going to be a different personality shakeup at the quarterback position too.
Yeah, 100%. I'm thinking, and to quote Kendrick, is it the braids? Because I feel like it's the cornrows. The moment that Tua starts showing up to the podium with straight backs, I'm like, hey, yeah, he's feeling himself a little bit. This is a different Tua. He's talking a whole lot more than he's accustomed to. Keith, I think one interesting pick that I like is pick 13. The Los Angeles Rams getting Mansoor Delane. I think we talked about it, right? Like, not the Emmanuel Forbes, him going to Washington, him landing in Los Angeles. He had some solid moments this year, and then there's moments where it's like, brother, you are just like you punching up in weight class. That Panthers game, he was coming off a nice little stretch. I'm like, okay, he's playing good ball, and then he got cooked in that game. Like it didn't matter if it was Coker, Leggett, Tet. It didn't matter. Like you're facing guys who are just bigger and stronger. And your choice of play of, hey, I'm gonna press these guys. Yeah, it didn't really work. You probably should have been playing more some bail. No, you tried to be physical with physical receivers, and you play right into their hands, right? So a Mansoor Delane, to me, Keith, like that ability, he was arguably the best pure man-to-man corner in college football this year. The foot quickness, the fluid hips, be able to move and turn and mirror guys, and again. 37 targets, I think only allowed 13 receptions all season. This wasn't a situation where, like, I think we talked about like AJ Harris when he was Penn State, you're playing bad competition. The cupcake part of your schedule, and these quarterbacks like, I'm not targeting you. Mm-hmm. No, right at the gate, you're getting targeted. You're playing Clemson, and you're getting targeted every week, but it just wasn't working out. Like you were shutting it down, and the opposing quarterbacks were not benefiting from that. And he took the ball away a couple times. Arkansas, I think he had like 2 interceptions, he only had an interception. He might have had 2 in that game, but nonetheless, he takes the ball away. But Keith, third pick, it's a package right here. Pick 12 and pick 15. You get the Dallas Cowboys got Cashius Howell, edge rush from Texas A&M, which we know they need an edge, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got David Bailey, edge out of Texas Tech, who we all know Tampa Bay needs an edge. Why? Because Dallas fans I've seen a lot of Dallas fans. They are hoping David Bailey falls to them. Mm-hmm. Why did you go Cashius Howell over Bailey when you look at numerically the playoffs? One guy didn't have success. The other one's had dominated, even though his offense couldn't score points. What made you go Cashius Howell over David Bailey?
Yeah, man, I'm splitting hairs, DP, and this may be a conversation that we have too when it gets into positional rankings. I give Cashius Howell a slight edge at the moment just because of the power factor that he plays with. And then also I thought about this, right? Because this is a mock draft. I thought about the Texas A&M, Texas Tech thing, right? I was like, okay, both of these young men are in Texas, because Jerry Jones like creating a story, right? Like he likes a good story, a good headline, right? And I thought I'm like, man, Texas A&M, it just felt like I'm like this. Fit probably feels a little bit more like a Jerry Jones-esque pick, right? You're talking about big, Cashius Howell, 255 pounds, big guy, plays stout against the run, things like that. It's splitting hairs, DP, to be completely honest. I just thought within this defense a better fit because they still need to stop the run too. And not saying David Bailey isn't good at it at all. I just think a heavier body on the outside can just kind of help that a little bit. So that's why I went with Cashius Howell. It was difficult because it was splitting hairs as far as like which one I want. And I'm like, you know what? Let me go Cashius here. Just bigger frame. He's probably physically more filled out. I think the exciting part is that we get to see both of these guys at the Senior Bowl in about a month, right? And be able to kind of make determinations on that. But that's why I went with that. And then I guess you're gonna like the David Bailey, right? To the Tampa Bay Bucs.
I love that pick.
The Tampa Bay Bucs, they just need a guy that could get home, man. It's been quite a few. There's a couple teams that have been lacking edge rushers, right? We talk about the Saints all the time, how they've swung and missed for the fences for about 3-4 different occasions. The Tampa Bay Bucs and then the Baltimore Ravens. Like those three teams cannot figure out the edge rusher position and find their guy, and they're taking cracks at it. They just haven't been able to hit.
Yeah, I think David Bailey to the Bucs gives them that bucket getter, man. Because you watch the games, this season, and Todd Bowles just relied on sending extra defenders, just sending pressure, blitzing, and it's like, man, you're not going to get home every time. These quarterbacks starting to see it.
Defensive backs to win one-on-one or these fire zone blitzes, just in that manner. You sometimes you have to just only send 3 or 4, right? And play coverage and still believe that you can get home.
Absolutely. That's going to be the key. Like, do you have a guy that says, and you got Vita Vea on that defensive line, and I think healthy, talking about being healthy, that defensive line could look very revamped with a David Bailey. You got him as the edge, Vita Vea right there is your 0-1 tech who can collapse the pocket, Kalijah Cansey being healthy. That's 3 guys right there that can absolutely together wreck an offensive line, when firing on all cylinders. And then you get healthy in the back end with Zion McCullum coming back healthy. I do think they need to get another corner too. I'm not a big fan of Jamel Dean. You need another corner. I don't think he gets it done there and whatnot. But yeah, I think David Bailey, absolutely. I think that's a home run type of fit for them. And then also shout out the Vikings. I like that as an interesting pick. Vikings getting Avion Terrell as well, Keith. I think, especially if Brian Flores doesn't get a head coaching job, if you get him back, man, adding a corner that's prone to creating turnovers with 9 or so forced fumbles, he can intercept the ball, and he can cover. Yeah, sign me up on him being coached up by Brian Flores.
All day, every day with DP. Let's do this, man. We have most underrated picks, right? Which picks are flying under the radar for this section, talking 11 through 20 of my latest 2026 NFL mock draft. We're talking about that coming up next.
Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. The timing is perfect, right before the game, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without having to overthink it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. A little basketball, a little action, and I mean a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sports book partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shot for being our everydayers. Keith, your picks 11 through 20. The underrated pick for me, man, is Vega Ioane, pick 14 to the Baltimore Ravens. With John Harbaugh leaving Daniel Falele at that right guard position all season, it was one of the most head-scratching decisions I've seen from a coach all season in the NFL.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. You drafted Emory Jones from LSU.
I didn't understand not kicking him inside to guard and
He didn't.
figuring
I
that
didn't
part
see
out.
him play until what, Sunday Night Football. With like Daniel Falele got hurt. He got rolled up on. He went to the sideline. Then they brought Emory Jones in. And it was crazy, Keith, when he walked off the sideline and trotted onto the field, the crowd was cheering. The crowd doesn't want Daniel Falele at right guard. There was a play. There was a moment a couple weeks ago where, like, I think Lamar Jackson was cussing him out in terms of Daniel Falele. He misses blocks, like the stuff. It was just coaching malpractice. So for me, it's like getting, because I think both guard spots was an issue for Baltimore. Vega Ioane is powerful. He's a mover. I think we've talked about this before. Like, just that you look at some players and like, man, you just look like you belong here. Vega Ioane just feels like a Baltimore Raven offensive lineman. This dude is big. He's powerful, but 6'4", 328, heavy-handed. He's going to move people. And then he's also going to help, Linderbaum at the center spot, who's more of an undersized guy. So when you're facing some of these, Cam Hayward, who was absolutely dominating that interior offensive line.
He was wrecking shot.
Yep. Like, and we have it's like Cam Hayward's well past his prime. Like, this ain't young Cam Hayward now. Like, he's older. And he still was dominating them. You need a guy like Vega Ioane who can match that strength. And he's a good athlete. He's not great, but he's a good enough athlete to move laterally and mirror guys. I think this would be a great fit for and really addressing a big need for the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, they need it, DP. And it was an issue all year long, right? When you're talking about the run game, we're talking about protecting Lamar Jackson, because that's huge, man. Because we always talk about, right, the quickest path to the quarterback is a straight line, and when your interior isn't right and it's messing up, like we said, that mess up the run game for Derrick Henry, who needs to be able to build momentum, right? And he's best when he's like, going downhill at a certain clip. When he reaches a certain miles per hour, then that's when he becomes unstoppable, right? But expecting him to be the jitterbuggish type, like the Bijan Robinsons and things like that, that's not his game. So you definitely have to fix that for multiple different reasons. Inside of this, DP, I'm going to go with, like I said, man, I'm choosing violence, man. I'm choosing violence with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going with the Malachi Fields thing, right? Most underrated pick. This is another young man we're going to see at the Senior Bowl. I like this young man, DP. I think he can move. I think he's athletic. I think he has rare quickness for his size. I think the jump ball, 50-50 catch ability. I think profile-wise, him and George Pickens are very similar. And that's saying a lot with the fact that George Pickens has finished top 5, top 3, I think, in receiving yards in the NFL. So I understand what I'm saying. And we'll get to the Senior Bowl, DP. And if it don't look good, I'm going to have to walk it back in front of you and in front of everydayers, right? But I'm choosing vibe because, listen, I think the Dallas Cowboys need to do this just to give themselves some sort of leverage, right? Because right now it's George Pickens or nothing. And then George Pickens still leads you to 7-10, 7-9-1, right? And where does that leave you, right? And this is no knock on George Pickens. I think George Pickens can be great for a team, right? He showed that if he has a quarterback get him the football, he produced at a top 5 level. Like, I think he's a good wide receiver, a really good NFL wide receiver. So I just think drafting Malachi Fields gives them some flexibility, because we have to project, this is Jerry Jones. He is going to drag this thing out. He's going to have all type of curveballs, press clipping.
He already said he don't know if he's going to negotiate with the George Pickens David Mugaleta. I think it's how you say his name. Like, because I think that was Michael Parsons' agent.
No, it was.
So like that whole situation. So if you burn that bridge, that makes it hard to get a contract done. So I think if anything, that's the red flag in that contract. Is like, well, if you're not going to talk to my agent, how are we going to get a contract done?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's going to make for an interesting storyline. And like I said, don't expect Jerry Jones to do the quick and to the point thing. Expect this thing to drag out. And this gives, because you don't know, and this is the thing that we talk about projecting outward, right? You hit him with the franchise tag, then, because we've seen this story play out, you hit him with the franchise tag, he doesn't play. Then now the first 4 or 5 weeks, you have CeeDee Lamb and nobody else, right? So you're honestly just drafting yourself another option, because you're going to probably need one, because you can bank on it. This is not going to go the right way. And that's how I'm looking at this.
No, I agree. You know, it's definitely a situation where you want to. You just got Jerry. Just get out your own way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just that's what if you're a Dallas Cowboy fans, you know, go to a Sunday morning prayer or something, whatever you do. You know what I mean? And just send one up, and say, Jerry, please get Jerry out of the way, so we can field a good football team, because Jerry does some things that just prevent you from being the best team. That you feel like at times you're wasting the prime of Dak Prescott. So, I think got to figure that out. You got to figure that out. And even if you, again, I think even in this draft, even if you don't take one round one, I still think you need to take a receiver, even if you get the contract worked out with George Pickens, because at the end of the day, you don't want CeeDee Lamb to get hurt or George Pickens to get hurt next year. And then you're asking, well, who's behind them? Right. And it's like, we may not have the best depth and the best talent behind our two stars. Let's go find somebody on day two. Either way, let's go find a receiver to supplant, if somebody gets hurt or if somebody just need to come in. You go 11 personnel. Who's that third wide receiver off the bench? You need a guy that can come in and make impact plays, man. And I think that's something that's a big thing for Dallas. Keith, underrated pick, I think 16. This is the highest I've seen him in mock drafts. And I hope he's got a big game coming up, which we're going to break down against the Hoosiers, a second matchup against the Hoosiers. Mateo Uyongalele at 16 going to the Jets. And the Jets is our team that definitely you have the capital to go BPA. You don't have to press for anything. You don't have to. You can just go best player available at every single pick. Again, they got 2, 16, 33, 44, and 103. You can, if you hit on these picks, this could change the way everybody looks at you going into next draft, where you say, you know what? We don't have any true major needs, and we're good right now. And that's what you want to be completely honest. They can find themselves everything they need. Another corner. And again, Mateo, I think Jermaine Johnson's up for a contract. They need to find a long-term edge rusher. And at 6'5", 6'6", 270 with his movement skills and his speed to power and his build, this is a guy you bet on.
Yeah, no, you bet on that you can develop him and get the right things out of him, right? And I think there's going to be an NFL team that's going to fall in love with these measurables, right? Like you said, being 6'5", whatever he's going to run, the arm length, the movement skills, all of those different things. It sets the stage for a guy that can, get close to that double-digit sack a year player, right? But also, what he does in the run game and being able to have that size, and then also the versatility. Can you kick him inside and do some things differently than what Oregon does with him? So there's
who it reminds me of a little bit, Keith? Michael Bennett when he was with the Seahawks. Like those long Seahawks. Michael Bennett was a Chris Averill.
Yeah, Cliff Averill.
Cliff Averill. I missed another one because they had like a crazy rotation of guys. But he reminds me a little bit of Michael Bennett. Is that 6'5", 6'6", long arm, physically gifted edge rusher? Because Bennett would reduce down to 3 tech in some of their sets and rush the passer and collapse the pocket. So I think Mateo could be a better pro than he is a college player if he gets in the right situation with the right coaching.
Yeah, I agree with that. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all gonna talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Coming up on tomorrow's show, we're going to finish out Keith's first round mock draft, going through picks 21 through 32. And we're going to talk about why a couple of receivers fell into some pretty good spots in the back end of this mock on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.